Hi guys, and welcome to the channel. So in today's episode of MB Dubs, what we're going to do, we're going to get our 1974 Passat. Now last time we took this out, the engine under here, well, it wasn't happy. So what it did, it pressurised all the coolant and pissed it out everywhere and didn't want to run. Then it cut out and didn't want to restart. I tried and tried to get it restarted since, and all it does is it chuffs loads of smoke out the breather and pressurises the coolant. Even on when you're turning it over, it just pressurises the coolant. So there's obviously something wrong with it. So what we've got and done, which you've probably seen in the title and you've probably seen in other videos. So here we go. So the breather here, which I never actually wired up, look, it just puffs out smoke, and then the coolant, it just pressurises the coolant here. So this is not the original engine. This is a 1.8 out of a Mark II Golf, obviously coming on the carburetor. Really easy swap, just swap it straight in. Some of the connectors you don't need for the wiring loom on here, but yeah, it ran quite quietly, quite well, but it's always breathed heavy and always had a bit of a knock, so not brilliant. So what we're going to do, we're going to fit this engine. Now this is a 2 litre GTI engine out of Mark III. Now I've never messed with GTI before, so I've got everything I think I need. The wiring looms, there's no adapter kit, there's no like bolt-on thing. I know in the Mark I Golfs and the later Passats, they run CE1 fuse box, which you can get an adapter kit for, but this one's not. This is more like a Beetle or a Type 3 wiring setup. So you've got to splice all the loom in. So what I've done, I've stripped the loom down in sort of evenings and weekends, ready to get it in here. And I think I've got it to the point where now I just need to connect a few wires and do that. With this being a carburetor engine, the fuel pump is on the engine. So what we're going to do, we've got to put a fuel pump on it somewhere, which we've got one here. So what we'll do, we'll try and get this engine out and then get this engine in. So yeah, so let's get some tools out and let's get cracking on. First things first, let's get this battery out the engine bay and start removing bits and bobs. Try and trick the charge, so it should be fully charged when we do get the engine fitted. Right, there we go. Battery out, plonk that there. Right. Bonnet won't go much higher, leave it there. So first thing to do is to drop the coolant. Yeah, there we go. So we'll undo this hose, put it in the bucket. Let's see what we can catch. Wasn't a lot, was it? I could leak that much out. I'll leave that end on for reference. So I think the biggest problem we're going to have, so this sump is the original one off the 1.3 engine that was in here originally out of the factory. So when I got the car, it was completely seized. So this is bolted to the 1.8 because it's all the same, because the subframe is here if you look, and that goes underneath the engine. So hopefully this will fit the 2 litre If it doesn't, we're pretty much going to be stopped in our tracks and we're not going to get any further, and this is going to be a really crap video. But what we've got to do, oh, sorry about that, banging you into the bumper. You can look down here, now where you can see that, that pulley is very close to the front panel, so we've got to drop the engine and gearbox in one with the subframe and everything. So that means we've got to clear quite a bit out of the way. So we'll disconnect everything at the top here, and they'll go underneath and drop everything from below. Fuel line, I think we'll have to redo those because as I said a minute ago, it's injection. Brake booster. Take this one off. There. A vacuum pipe there. Goes from engine to engine. The coil pack. Leave that. I've got here that little wire going from the coil to the distributor. There we go, little 8mm. A little screw nuts like this, little screws, little nuts. I usually really drop them on my fat fingers. I've not got much dexterity when it comes to things, and I'm a bit heavy-handed. Little things like that I usually mess up. But that time I was successful. Right, so that's that off. That can stay with the engine. There we go. Right, what other coil lines we've got? That one goes that way. That one goes into the car because that's your heater matrix. That's a flathead. Should we take these pipes off and leave them with the car? Yeah, look, a bit of copper pipe in there as a joiner. That's me. You can see, look, T-piece. That's me. Take this one off here if we can. It's not too rusty. And there's that other end that goes to the water pump. So that is the alternator wiring. Can't get to that Jubilee clip because the radiator is in the way on this one. So it seems to come undone. You know, I'll open that. Pair of pliers. We'll do. We'll get a big pair of grips and crack it open. Come on, you bastard. And that started, the screwdriver should carry it on, shouldn't it? I think so. There we go. We'll chuck this one in the bin so I don't reuse it. Or not. In you go, you bastard. Alright, that's that coolant line connected. That can stay with the car. Right, what other wiring have we got? I've got any sensors anywhere. A couple of cables going to the back here. Where do they go to? Start motor. Might be easier from below. I don't know. Right. Just use my feelers here. Undo these. Switch cable. There we go, clutch link's connected. This one looks like the speedo drive. How does that fit on the gearbox? There's a plastic shroud around it. Does it just push in? No, so they're tight. Can't see. I might have to consult the manual on that one just so I don't damage anything. I'm going there a bit bull-headed. But I'm thinking there's everything up here disconnected. Yeah, so I'll get the car in the air now and see what we can see. Just looking at the suspension to make it easier, so I ain't got to disconnect the brakes and everything. Might do is what might I do? Okay. There you go. I think they just nut and bolt that on the bottom ball joint on two of them. Obviously there's a CV boot missing here. We'll check the condition of that CV joint and if we can still salvage it, we'll use it. If not, we'll have to get a new one. So we've got to disconnect the exhaust there and there, leave that bit there with the car. Got a couple of mounts there for the gearbox and gearbox linkage. And then we've got the 4 subframe bolts, these bad boys, and it all should come down. As you can see, the steering rack goes through the bodywork, so I've got to leave that with the car. Really just bring the old brakes, and I've got to bleed them off, and God knows what condition them nipples are in. Yeah, so what we'll do, we'll put these bottom ball joints off and then see what happens. Got to take these hub nuts out to leave the drive shaft with it all as well. I've got to do something with that CV joint anyway. Take this off, turn off the gearbox, take this rear mount off, then disconnect the linkage at the back. And then the only thing holding this engine in is the 4 subframe bolts. So we'll support it with the trolley jack, probably here somewhere. Here. So yeah, point the camera to where I'm pointing. And then we'll lower all the subframe, the engine, and the gearbox in one. So I think at this point my microphone's died. But at the bottom of the picture there you can see there's a bracket that's unbolted, that's got 2 13s on it, that's the rear gearbox mount. And then what I was just pointing to is the linkage, so that goes from the gear stick to the gearbox. And it's got these little like square nuts on, a bit like what a Beetle or a Type 3 or a Bus has, very similar. So we just pop the little grub nut off and then just slide the linkage off. You need someone inside the car to hold it while you do it. So everything's disconnected apart from the speedo cable, which I can't get. It's like spring loaded, I can't get it out. So what we'll do, we'll lower it down and so get some better access to that. So what we're going to do now, we're going to go underneath and put in 4 subframe bolts, and that's all that should be holding this engine in. Everything else should be disconnected. So we'll go under and have a look. That's one out. They're really small compared to the ones on the Transporter. That's all that's holding the engine in, 4 of these. Yeah, so there's 2 the other side. And that one come out past the anti-roll bar. Alright, that should be it. Oh, the engine should be free now. I'm gonna slowly let the jack down, and if you keep an eye on stuff as well, Connor, and make sure there's nothing that I've missed. I know there's that speedo cable, and the exhaust might be a bit dodgy because it's I've had to disconnect that here at this flange because I couldn't get it apart. I just wanted to lean this way into it. Probably won't do that, I'll probably just straight clip it like that. That looks better, doesn't it? What I do, look, I always hook away because you're on the strongest part of the hook. Alright. So that means I can get the trolley jack out and try and support this side, which is coming down too quick. And we'll what's this one here? There you go, look, Connor. There's a hose here, look. It's the return from the what do you call it? Heater matrix. Let's go back up and see if I can disconnect that. I knew it was still connected. There we go. So I'll stay with the engine now. Right. So that is the engine on the deck. Let's get the engine out. How do you reckon we can do that? Lift it up. What with? Or crane. That should lift the car up. There we go. It's out. As I previously said, This is a 1.8 out of a Mark II Golf. The original 1300 is over there, all stripped down. I've tried to get some parts for it, and you just can't. They're on titanium. Without getting custom pistons and bits and bobs made, and you end up spending thousands upon thousands to restore an engine that is never going to be that much potent, and it's going to end up spending more on the engine than the car's going to be worth. It's not like it's an Audi RS2. It's not like it's, I don't know, a Ferrari or something like that. It's not worth spending thousands on the engine. So that's why we put this in it, which we got off Facebook Marketplace for 50 quid, an unknown engine. It ran, it drove, it pulled the car around, but now it's died. So what we've got is that. So what I want to do is get this engine sat down and next to that one and see what we need to swap back and forth. So yeah, so we'll get this one off the legs of the stand and get that one over here as well, and put them next to each other and see what we can see. So as it sits, this is the 1.8 that's got the 1.3 bits on it. So the alternator sits here, and if you look on the Mark III Golf engine, the alternator sits here, which may not seem too much of a difference, but the radiator sits here. So we've got to swap a lot of stuff over from this engine to that engine. So what we'll do, we'll dive into that and start getting stuff swapped across. So we'll get this stripped down. So I'm having to put the alternator off the Mark II Golf engine onto the Mark III Golf engine. This bracket is off this engine. Bolt holes are there, but I've had to adjust this back plate ever so slightly for the cam cover. And what I'm doing at the minute is I'm just making the Mark III wiring fit onto the Mark II alternator. Because the Mark III had this plug on it, which won't work. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to crimp this on the end so it'll go onto here. So the exciter wire D+ can go onto that post. This post here. And then yeah, and then we'll continue swapping over. But as you can see, when you get these engines down to the bones, they are exactly the same. Even the 74 Passat engine is the same as this 93 Golf engine when you strip it down to the bones. So yeah, good old Volkswagen. So there we go, alternator with the old V-belt, all adjusting up and on the 2 litre engine. So obviously the coolant lines on both engines are completely different. So what we're going to do, we're going to get them swapped over and see if we can make this coolant system and this coolant system work together with the coolant system in there. So yeah, let's get that done. 2 litre water pump. It's got this 90-degree outlet on the bottom, which goes to the bottom of the radiator. And if we look on this 1.8 engine, it's the same setup, 1, 2, 3 hoses, but this, sorry, 1, 2, 3 hoses, but this one goes a different angle because of the radiator's in position. So what we've got to do is we've got to swap this 90 from here, which I'm guessing the thermostat's behind there, for the one on that engine. A couple of 10mm bolts, swap it over, and probably the one that's on the Mark II engine, this is the one actually off the 1300 engine, is better because it's metal, not plastic. So yeah, so let's get that swapped. Yeah, that's the coolant flange swapped. There's the old one, and I've put the thermostat in out of the 800 engine, so I know that works. No idea about that 2 litre one, it could be stock, it could be seat, it could be anything. The next thing is, if you look here, this is the Mark III Golf engine mount, which we don't need. This is the oil filter housing. And if you look on here, it's completely different. So here's the engine mount, and the engine mount is in one piece with the bracket for the clutch cable. So this oil filter housing has to go on that engine. So let's get all that engine stripped down, the 2 litre engine, and get this on there with the new engine mount, which means we're probably going to have to pull this off the subframe first and take the gearbox off. Yeah, so shall we take the gearboxes off, and then yeah, I'll show you the big problem that we'll have. So I decided to get the engine in the air and drop the oil out of the 1.8, and as you can see, this is some gross stuff. All them different colours in it, look at all the water. That is disgusting. Never seen oil as bad as this before. So that's definitely the head gasket that's gone. Look at that big globule of water that just went down. That's silver streak. That's metal, that is.
Not good.
No.
Not good at all.
Morning guys. So it is now day 2 on swapping the GTI engine to the Passat. So yesterday we got the engine out, we swapped all the bits over we needed to. It took a lot longer than we thought because a few of the bits weren't 100% compatible. So what I'll do is I'll just show you here. So this oil filter housing here, as you can see, the oil filter won't fit because it's fouled in this, which is the bracket that holds the clutch lever on. So what I've ordered, I haven't ordered yet because I'm going to wait to see what other parts I might need. I'm going to get a sandwich plate which goes in here, and that has 2 AN fittings on it, and that will relocate us to a remote oil filter that I can put somewhere else in the engine bay. So that's what we've done there. We found out that this trigger signal cable here, it looks like it's been, all the rubber's been chewed off by mice. Yeah, that's how you say it, Mark. Yeah, so we've ordered a new one of those. Initially I was looking, they were like 90 odd quid, but I managed to find some a bit cheaper, Febby parts. That should be a good part. What else we swapped over? We swapped over the alternator and the alternator bracket, because if you remember right, the old one, it was down here somewhere. And because we've done that, we swapped these pulleys over, turned it into a V-belt, and then this is the engine mount for the Passat, not the Golf. And then this lower cam belt cover is off the Passat engine, so we've had to fit that. And then we've had to trim down this upper cover so it fits as well. And then turning round here, this is the engine mount off the Passat again, as is this one. We've had to put the clutch and flywheel in off the Passat as well, so it fits into the bell housing. This waterway is off the Passat as well, so we've got a return. I'm going to have to use that as a return for that pipe, and then that will go to the heater matrix, and the heater matrix will come back. Where will it come back? Oh, go into this one here. This one's your top radiator hose, that's your lower radiator hose. So I've had to fit this flange off it as well. And what we've also swapped over, we've had to change the oil pump because the sump here, if you look, it's shaped to go over the subframe. Now I know what you're all thinking, why haven't we cleaned it as we've gone along? Well, basically because I don't know if this engine runs properly or not. I don't know how well I'm going to get it running. So what we're going to do, we're going to fit it, get it running, get it driving, get it sorted. We're going to put it back out again, clean it up, replace bits as we need to, because we might find other bits are broken, not working. We definitely need to get some CV boots, but at the moment the CV joints are quite solid, so that's a long way down the list. The exhaust, alright, so this is the exhaust manifold off the GTI engine. And that's the one for the Passat. And as you can see, that would be coming out where the passenger wheel is. And you can't obviously have that. So what we've done, put this Passat one on, and we're going to plumb it into the Passat exhaust. And I know that's quite a small bore compared to the GTI one. I mean, you look how big that is. That's what, a good 2.5 inches. And then this one here, it's barely 1.5 inches, but it's sufficient enough to get it running. And then at a later date, we will look at getting a bigger exhaust fitted front to back. On this age of car, there are no restrictions to anything on the emissions, sound level, or anything, so we might get a straight pipe all the way through. Let this engine sing. But yeah. And now the only thing left to do is put it in here. These are the heater pipes I was saying about. Oh, there's a T-piece there on that one. So there's your flow and return. And this one looks like it goes to here, to this piece here. I might have to look to see if I've got any T-pieces where I can tee it in with this pipe. But yeah, for all intents and purposes, she's ready to go in. So what I'll do, I'll set you up on a bit of a time-lapsey thing, and we'll get it in. Right then, there you go, engine's in. Now, I'm a little bit worried. I'll tell you for why. This seems to sit quite high. Now I'm guessing the 2 litre is a 2 litre because it's a taller block. So will the bonnet shut? I don't know. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put you up here somewhere. It's a moment of truth. Will it close? Put all these gubbins back in. Not damage anything more than I need to. No, it won't. Not by a lot. And it's not a lot either. Can you tell me what it's catching on? Can you see? You see what it is, or is it a bit dark in there? It's a bit dark, is it? Let me just move you. So you can see better from there. What are you saying? It's the throttle body? You sure? So looking at it now while I'm editing the video, I think it looks like it's the cross member on the bonnet catching on that breather. So I might see if I can adjust that. It's only by a little bit. So back in the day, when we had Mark III Golfs and we slammed them, we used to put hockey pucks between the engine and the engine mount to lift them, so we didn't bottom out and damage the sump. So what I'm wondering is, can we do something similar with this? Can we put spaces between the front engine, front subframe bolts, front subframe mounts and the bodywork, and a smaller one under the rear, which, as it sits, the engine does lean back, so that should level the engine up and not interfere with the gearbox linkage. This front gearbox, front engine steady mount there, that's easy enough to adapt, move, do something with. Make a plate to relocate that lower. But yeah, I think we'll have to put some spaces between the subframe and the engine here, which should lower this down. We're probably talking only 5-10 mil, so we won't have to go extreme using a hockey puck. Maybe we've got some decent sized washers that we can use as shims, 2 under the front, maybe 3, and then 1 or 2 under the rear. But saying that, there's probably enough flex in the engine mounts that we only have to do the front. I'll have a look into that while we're waiting for other bits and bobs to come. So I think we can get over that. I don't think that's a major issue. I think that's just a small issue. Alright, shall we start plumbing it up and seeing what other problems we've got? I'll tell you what, one of the big problems we are going to have is all this. My monkey gloves out the way. We've got a MAF. We've obviously got the wire into the ECU. Solid state coil. I think that goes to a lambda probe, which we don't have. But it shouldn't be too hard to wire a flange into that exhaust. But yeah, just making sense of all this. Yeah, that might take a week or 2 of scratching and googling and asking on some of these forums and things. So if anybody reckons they'd give me a hand with that, please let me know, hit me up. So what we're doing now, just putting all the wiring through. Pushed all the 12 volts over near the fuse box, pushed all the earths over here near an earthing point. Got the ECU mounted, it's propped up there. Not sure where I'm going to put it yet. Might have to reroute some wires elsewhere. But as you can see, this is an absolute nightmare of wiring. Why have I done this to myself? Why? Not going to carry on playing with this, see if I can get it tidied up. But I doubt I'm going to get this finished today. So, like I say, we've got to wait for some parts anyway, so I'll have to wait for another video. Yeah, I'll carry on putting this wiring through. Try and show you what I'm doing as I go. So what you may notice is the engine is back out. Passat is tucked up. So what I found is got it all sort of plumbed up with the coolant hoses. Got a few other jobs done. And as I was putting the wiring together, I just wanted to make sure the engine sounded okay. So I went to turn it over, and it wouldn't. The start motor clicked, nothing would happen. So what we did, we pulled it back out again to see what was up with it. So pulled the gearbox off, had a look, took the flywheel back off, still wouldn't turn over. What have I done? Don't know. So what else have I changed? The sump. It is crank hitting the sump, something hitting the sump. So we dropped the sump off, still wouldn't turn over. Still trying to think what I'd done. So I pulled the alternator belt off, still wouldn't turn over. And if I flip you around, these 4 bottom bolts, they're off the Passat engine, the original engine, with the original setup with the belt. We relocated the alternator here because the Mark III alternator would have been here, and then a power steering pump down here. So we've got rid of all that and put the Mark II Golf / Passat setup up with the alternator up here. So that means we had to use the V-belt. So V-belt around the water pump, around the alternator, and then this here is the lower pulley, harmonic balancer pulley type thing, and obviously there's 4 bolts that hold it on. These bolts were too long and they were catching the block at the back. So what we've done, we took them out, chopped them down a bit and put them back in again, and now the engine will actually turn over. But we've run out of time this weekend, so it's not going back in today. Yeah, so we've run out of time in this video to get that done, because this weekend coming, we're actually leaving on Wednesday. We're going to EBI. So this engine's going to sit here and wait a couple of weeks now until I've got time to put it in. I've got to order a few bits, some spacers. Yes, I've got to move the oil filter housing, so that is fouling. You can get like a plate that bolts where the oil filter would be, and that relocates it to wherever you want it. Just the pipe work goes to it. But yeah, hopefully the next time you see me in the Passat, we'll be putting the engine in again and getting it running and driving. So thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe and all that other yada yada yada. And we'll see you in the next video, which should hopefully be getting this engine running and driving. But until that, thank you very much and see you in the next one.